Hello, and welcome to our weekly Friday Live Extra, produced in conjunction with Friday Live, which broadcasts over the air and comes to you as a podcast each week. Don't forget to check out even more about Nebraska Arts and Humanities on our website, nebraskapublicmedia.org/Friday Live. I'm Genevieve Randall, a very musical Friday Live Extra for you this week. Don't miss my conversation with Lucas Hogue coming up a little bit later. To start, singer-songwriter Ingrid Griffin is returning to her Nebraska homeland for a show at Buck's Bar and Grill. That is near Venice, Nebraska, on Saturday, December 20th at 8 p.m. Now based in Nashville, she blends classic storytelling with modern country pop. She studied music industry and songwriting at the University of Southern California, which we talked to her a little bit about last time she visited with us. She's played extensively on Broadway, and I'm sort of making vocal air quotes there because we're not talking Broadway, New York. And she's been in writers' rounds, which we'll also talk about as well. And she continues to grow her online following. She's got an album out and recently released the single Cowgirl. Ingrid, it is great to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be back.
I should say Cowgirl Up, shouldn't I?
Yep. Yeah,
there you go.
Up.
Cowgirl Up, which we did play on the air here just a couple of weeks ago. So
yes, thank you. I actually found that out from a friend who had heard it. I was so excited.
So let's clear up misconceptions about Broadway and also explain to us first, what are writers' rounds?
Yes, so I've been able to kind of dive into the Nashville music scene, which has a couple very Nashville things. The first is called a writers' round, and it actually began at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, which is kind of a famous songwriter venue where writers would sit in a circle and take turns playing songs that they wrote. And now it's all over town, but it's up on a stage. So there's about 4 songwriters on stage, and then they each take turns playing an original song. So that's been fun.
And do you get feedback then that way? Is that kind of a workshopping type of thing?
It can be. It's more just kind of to, I guess, play your song out. And I always find when I play a new song at one of them, I can see, how the audience reacts to it, and it always kind of teaches me a little bit about the song and what I could tweak.
Nice. And so Broadway in Nashville.
Yeah. So it's the strip of bars downtown. It's got Lainey Wilson's, Miranda Lambert's, Jason Aldean's, then also some of the older, kind of more famous bars like Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, which is where Willie Nelson got discovered, I believe. But yeah, that's where a lot of musicians in Nashville work their day jobs, as they just play 4-hour-long cover sets on Broadway. And it's been a dream come true. I absolutely love it.
Well, I think we may have talked about this last time, Ingrid, but your dad is a drummer.
He is.
I'm wondering if that affected what musicians you were listening to as a child.
100%. Yeah, he and I pretty much share the exact same music taste. I've gotten him a little bit more into country music, which has been fun. I just gave him a pair of cowboy boots for his birthday. But yeah, he raised me on classic rock, which I'm so grateful for. He and I love like Electric Light Orchestra, the Beatles, etc.
So who are some of your other influences then?
Well, I always like to say, the classic rock stuff came from my dad. The more singer-songwritery stuff like Jackson Browne, John Denver came from my mom. I love 70s music, no matter what that is. And then honestly, my love of country music has kind of come from growing up in Nebraska and being around it, and now getting to sing it all day, every day in Nashville. So it's kind of a mixture.
Yeah, I'll point out your pride in Nebraska is evident in the music video for your song Heartland Girl.
Yes.
You're repping UNL merch in there, dancing in the fields. What does it mean to you and your music to be from this state?
Yes. What's funny is my best friend Shelby Henry directed that music video. She's an amazing filmmaker. Yeah, my upbringing here has just meant everything to me. I love that I get to call Nebraska home. I think people are just nicer here. They're nicer here than anywhere I've ever been. And I love getting to represent Nebraska down in Nashville. Every time I wear Nebraska merch at my gigs down there, I always meet other Nebraskans. And so that's really fun.
Super cool. Well, your album, it's all just songwriting material, is about the heartaches that you've had, lessons you've learned during your 4 years of college. What was it like talking to your songwriting teachers, for example, about personal issues like that?
Yeah, songwriting is such a crazy thing because it's so personal. And, when you're studying it at a college, you're being graded and having to share these really personal things that you've made from your life. And one thing that's fun about my first album is pretty much everything on there is true. It happened to me. It's what I actually felt. And so, yeah, I definitely had to wear my heart on my sleeve.
Well, you're doing a Christmas in Nashville series on TikTok and Instagram. It's called Vlogmas. A lot of people do a Vlogmas thing, right? That's a whole thing these days. How is Christmas in Nashville different from Christmas in Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to kind of get to explore. Like I went ice skating down there. There are a lot of, touristy things to do down there for the holidays. One thing that's interesting is playing on Broadway kind of freezes up over the holidays. And so I was able to come home and have a nice long break, which was good. And so I'm really happy to be home for the holidays.
So I think what we should leave listeners with here, Ingrid, is an idea about this place that you were playing at. I'll mention you brought up Tootsie's on Broadway in Nashville. There was a song sung on Friday Live by B.J. Jameson, another Nebraska country artist here, not too many weeks ago. And the song lyrics reference Tootsie's. He played at Buck's Bar and Grill. You're going to play at Buck's Bar and Grill. What is up with Buck's Bar and Grill?
Yes. So it has been a long time dream of mine to play at Buck's. And I am just so excited to finally get to play there. It's this awesome bar kind of near like Venice, Waterloo, Nebraska, and it's always busy. And they have really made a name for themselves in the music world. They get pretty big names there. I actually get to open for Casey Chestnut there, and I'm excited to try the prime rib as well. So yeah, it should be a good time. The community has really rallied around the bar, and it's really just cool to see live music still being appreciated.
I feel like this is like the country destination, I don't want to say it's necessarily the level of the Zoo Bar to Blues in downtown Lincoln, but it seems like it might be reaching for those kinds of stars there. And Venice barely, it's really small right there.
Yeah.
If people have been to Two Rivers State Park, years ago, you used to drive past the intersection and there would be a gas and shop called Merchant of Venice, which, is a reference to a Shakespeare play, which I thought was cute. But
yeah.
Have you played Buck's Bar and Grill before then? So this is the first time?
This is my first time.
Oh, my goodness. That's going to be great.
I'm so pumped. Yeah, and it's going to be really special to play with my dad, too. As you mentioned, he's my drummer. He drums in a couple other bands here in Lincoln called Floating Opera and Prairie Psycho. And so, it's going to be a blast.
Well, you've been hearing here from singer and songwriter Ingrid Griffin. She's got a show, as we mentioned, coming up at Buck's Bar and Grill. That's Saturday, December 20th, 8 p.m. near Venice, Nebraska. Her latest single, Cowgirl Up, is out right now. Ingrid, thank you so much for talking with me again. I hope you keep in touch. We want to keep tabs on you.
Thank you. This has been a blast. You're such a great interview. I love the questions, and this has been so fun. So thank you.
Thank you so much. To learn more about Ingrid or any of our other guests, head to the Friday Live page. That's at nebraskapublicmedia.org. More of our Friday Live Extra in a moment. This podcast and all the things Nebraska Public Media brings you are here thanks to support from listeners who become members. To learn more, head to nebraskapublicmedia.org. Christmas Traditions with Lucas Hogue is coming to the Minden Opera House on Friday, December 19th at 7:30 p.m. and to the Hubble Community Center on Saturday, December 20th at 6 p.m. The Nebraska native and Billboard #1 artist first performed at the Minden Opera House nearly 10 years ago. This is his third appearance there, and it's just a few miles from his hometown of Hubble. In addition to his music career, Hogue is the host of the television series Hogue Wild, seen in millions of households nationwide. He continues to release music inspired by his small-town upbringing, including his last album, A Book About Me. Lucas, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's always great to talk to friends and family from back home.
Well, so your new Christmas single, Say Holidays, has this really classic Christmas sound to it. Lucas, what decisions did you make during the writing and recording to achieve that classic sound?
Well, so I'm a huge Christmas nut to begin with. I love everything Christmas. My house, you walk in, it looks like a Hallmark set. And me and my buddy Corey Lee Barker have been writing Christmas songs ever since I moved to Nashville 20 plus years ago, and that was kind of our thing. We'd always get together and it didn't matter if it was June, July, wherever, we were writing Christmas songs. Corey is so good at placing those in movies and stuff that we've gotten a lot of our songs placed in Hallmark movies and Paramount movies and GAC movies and stuff like that. My mom and dad happened to be coming down for an Opry performance that I was doing, I guess, middle of last year. And I said, "Hey, Mom, I guess you're not going to be busy today since you're hanging out with me, but I booked a writing session, and my mom and I have never written before. And I booked a writing session with me, her, and my buddy Corey, and we came up here in my studio and we wrote Did Somebody Say Holidays? And that was our first song me and my mom wrote, and we took it to number one already on Amazon Music. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that is so sweet. I love that you wrote that with your mom. What an experience for her.
It was so fun.
That is amazing. Well, you are from Hubble, Nebraska, I mentioned. It's a town with a population of less than 100 people.
Way less.
How you way less? Do you know the population?
Last time I was home, it was 66, but when I left, it was 44. So there was a huge boom going on. I don't know what's attracting everybody to Hubble now, but
I guess so. 66 whole people. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
How does that influence the work that you do?
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, if anybody has my previous albums from everything up to this new album too, because it's just songs that, I was always told early on, write what you know. And I knew growing up on the farm, growing up in the rural communities and small town living, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love it. I encourage everybody to go experience it and move back. It's like, I would love to go back there one day, but it definitely enhances my songwriting for sure. The book about me is that exact experience. Growing up in small town, growing up on the farm, working for other farmers, and just loving rural life, and the song Living I Like encompasses pretty much the whole album. That's the kind of living I like. It's kind of a story song about this guy who was driving through an old town like Hubble, and it's a city guy, pulls over. He's like, "What are you? How can you live out here?" Blah blah blah. And this guy kind of like, "Hey, just if you got a few hours, I'd love to show you around my town," type of thing. So it's that whole album, different stories of my life, and each song is kind of a chapter of that. And that's what I wanted to convey, because the book about me is the whole thing, and then the songs are the chapters. So this is chapter one, basically, of a whole bunch of installments that we're hopefully going to be recording and putting out in the next few years. But the book about me, if you really listen to the lyrics, it's not about me at all. It's about the people around me. It's about how I was raised. And, I'm always telling stories about friends and family, and has really nothing to do with me at all.
We are all influenced by a number of folks around us, I suppose. Well, it's probably pretty clear why you're playing at the Hubble Community Center. How does it compare, though? You've played some pretty massive stages across the country. What's it like then to do a show like that right there in Hubble in the community center?
It's so fun. I love them, from doing big stadium shows, going on tour with like Justin Moore and other people, and loving all those too. It's just a different energy, right? Each one's a different energy. But the stuff that I love the most and I gravitate towards the most is the super intimate settings, with a couple hundred people. And sometimes it's just me and a guitar. I just love that stuff where I can sit up there on a stool and I can just tell stories about the songs that we've created and give people the inside scoop on the inspiration and how these things came about and who I wrote the song with and maybe what I was thinking that day. And that's kind of what Christmas Traditions is all about, this Christmas show that we're starting to bring to the Midwest. It's literally just about trying to bring everybody, feel like we're at unwrapping presents Christmas morning, sitting around the Christmas tree, around the fire, and just telling stories and singing great songs and all the songs that you remember growing up with as a kid. And they might sound a little different because I've kind of reimagined some of them. That's what it's all about. And I even want to talk to the crowd a little bit too and be like, "Hey, what was your favorite Christmas tradition?" And then sing a song that might, be perfect for that type of deal.
That makes me think of your years performing for U.S. troops, Lucas, as part of your Wrangler National Patriot Tour. What are some of the interactions that you've had with those soldiers at those performances?
Oh my gosh, I'll take them to the grave because it's some of the most rewarding times that I've ever spent on tour and humbling at the same time. It's a big thank you match, right? They're thanking us for coming over there, but we're like, no, we're here to thank you for all that you men and women do for us over here. And I mean, I started going overseas in 2009. And the first tour was about a 30-day tour, and it was over Christmas and New Year's. We got to sit down and talk to a lot of the troops and things like that. And this was a big kind of stage and lights tour, a USO tour at the time. And we didn't get that one-on-one experience that we'd hoped for, during the shows, because it was like, come in, they set you up on the stage, they throw you out there on stage, do your show, kind of a grip and grin, we called it, and then you're off to the next base. Where when I came back and was sought after by the Wrangler National Patriot Program, they said, hey, this is going to be a guitar in your back. You're our only entertainment. We're bringing in some cowboys and cowgirls, and you're going to sing songs, and we're just going to hang out with the troops, and we're going to Black Hawk fob hop to all the forward operating bases, and that don't get to see entertainment. I'm like, sold. I'm in. And we got to do so much cool stuff, hanging out with our men and women over there and talking to them, having a meal with them, really sharing quality time. We called it killing the groundhog because it's day in and day out, the same kind of thing. So we kind of broke that all up with like, who are these people walking in with cowboy hats and Wrangler jeans and ropes and guitars and what's going on here, And we had such a blast. We create games and singing competitions, and we bring everybody up, and it was just a blast. And being able to spend, the holidays with some of those people, realizing they don't get Christmas off, they don't get New Year's off, they don't get to do anything for their birthday, they don't get to go home and just drive across the country and say hi to mom and dad. That just doesn't happen. And that's when I wrote Christmas Without You. It was a song, kind of the flip side for I'll Be Home for Christmas, where it's like, now this is the story of everybody here wishing that you were home for Christmas. And we recently performed that on Fox and Friends, and gave the proceeds to the Purple Heart Foundation for all that. Everything that I pretty much write and sing about is definitely a life experience in some way, shape, or form. There might be some that stretch a little bit, but it came from a good place.
I love the phrase "killing the groundhog." I think Bill Murray needs to learn that one from having been in the movie. Something else we came across here, you co-founded the Belize Songwriter Festival.
Yeah.
This is bringing country music to a very different part of the world. What made you want to start that festival, and what has been a surprise or a reward of your response to that?
It was quite a while back. I was doing the country cruise. So it was like me and Trace Adkins and Montgomery Gentry and Kelsey Ballerini. All of us were doing a country cruise. So we would be singing in different stages around the cruise ship. One of our stops was in Belize City. And I'll be honest with you, we pulled into Belize City and we got off to kind of do like a cattle call, like snorkeling trip or whatever. And it was a disaster. I mean, it was just not fun at all. We were in these kind of weird, kind of gross waters. And me and my wife were just like, ugh, this is not good. So we kind of wrote off Belize for a while. And then flash forward to me putting my TV series together, Hoag Wild, and where I kind of go and do a lot of networking is the big conventions that like Safari Club International and Dallas Safari Club and all that stuff. So I can go see a lot of outfitters all at one time. And I'm walking through the convention center with my wife in Vegas, and we're going down the aisleways, and I'm like, hey, babe, where do you want to go next? Maybe there's something cool that I get to go everywhere I want to go. Where do you want to go? She's like, I think we should give Belize another chance. And I kid you not, she was on my left shoulder, and I look over my left shoulder behind her, and there's a huge sign that says, choose Belize. I kid you not, it couldn't have been more perfect. And I was like, well, if God isn't telling you to choose Belize, I don't know. We better go check it out. So we go over there, and Dwayne and Jen Hoving were the owners of these Belize properties called Choose Belize. And we started talking to them, and they had a little rum punch for us, get the island vibes going. And I said, hey, this is what I do. How would you guys feel about me bringing a couple songwriter buddies of mine down and doing an episode at some of your properties, go fishing, maybe a little scuba diving, and just go island hopping and have a good time. Also, if there's a resort there, maybe we'll all prop up and give away a songwriter night, which a lot of people don't know what a singer-songwriter night is. And I said, well, just give it away, give the resort 2 or 3 days to promote it and see what happens. Sure enough, we did that. We're giving away the songwriter night, and almost 200 people showed up in that little area of Hopkins, which the population is super sparse there. I mean, it's very a rural area of Hopkins, but there's a lot of expats that live there. So they're all living in Belize, and they found out about this, and they came down here. I had 2 amazing songwriters with me, and we were like, okay, there's something here. And then me and my wife decided to kind of take it up a notch and then talk with Dwayne and Jen and some of the other property resorts, and we partnered with Jaguar Reef. And actually, we were just on a call with them recently, gearing up for this year. So it's an amazing thing. It's really grown from year 1 to what it is now. We're 5 years in. And Landshark is one of our main sponsors. So the Landshark beer, Jimmy Buffett's beer. And it's just been growing like crazy. We bring down huge songwriters, Rodney Clawson, Paula Overstreet, Jamie O'Neill, Rebecca Lynn Howard, all these amazing songwriters just want to come down and be a part of this because it's such a beautiful place.
Yeah. You are a busy guy. You brought up Hoag Wild and I did earlier in the intro. How do you balance then songwriting, performing with doing the show? You fit a lot into your schedule.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I ain't gonna lie. It's hard to put all the hats on, but you try and just delegate to put that hat on for that day and then maybe throw your hat off and do that. So I feel like I'm multiple personalities sometimes because I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing today?
Okay, last question for you, Lucas, and then I'll tell our listeners where they can interact with you there in Minden and Hubble. How many guitars do you have?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's 6 just right here in the corner. And then there's 2 over here. So 6, 7, 8. And there's probably another 12 or so in this back room over here. Taylor Guitars is one of my partners. So I'm a huge Taylor guitar guy. But I also took a branded guitar overseas with me every time I'd go and had to have the troops sign the back of it. This one didn't get signed because it's a wall hanger, but the back would just be full of the troops' signatures. It's so fun and so cool.
Wow, that's amazing. I do always love to ask that question because I know musicians, each guitar has its own personality. It has a story or a history or something. Well, you have been hearing from singer-songwriter and television host, it turns out, Lucas Hoag. You can catch his show Friday, December 19th at 7:30 p.m. at the Minden Opera House, as well as at the Hubble Community Center on Saturday, December 20th at 6 p.m. Also coming up, by the way, the Opera House will be hosting its annual Polar Express storytelling and movie family event. That is on Sunday, December 21st, beginning at 6 p.m. More details for all of that, as always, are available through the Friday Live page at nebraskapublicmedia.org. Lucas, again, thank you so much for talking with me, and do keep in touch with all your projects, will you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for giving me the time. I really appreciate hanging out with you.
You bet. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
You've been listening to the Friday Live Extra. Don't forget to check out a full Friday Live show, too, by subscribing to the Friday Live podcast. Listen online at nebraskapublicmedia.org/Friday Live, or tune in at 10 a.m. Central every Friday for the broadcast on Nebraska Public Media.